Greetings from our channel again. Norah O'Donnell is a journalist with enormous influence ranging from politics to in-depth investigations, and she is one of the few women in the United States to host a national evening news program. She was one of the most powerful voices in American journalism and the fearsome face of CBS Evening News, a role that had always been filled by men. However, a single email sent just after Thanksgiving altered everything, bringing the news of a skin cancer diagnosis that could be fatal. There was another struggle going on inside CBS. It was decided that Norah O'Donnell was too demanding, too costly, and too challenging to collaborate with. She was forced out when the network reorganized its leadership, and two male coworkers took her position. What actually transpired, from newsroom queen to outsider? Was it sickness, politics within the organization, or something else that had never been made public? You will be shocked to learn the truth about Norah O'Donnell. Born on January 23, 1974, in Washington, D.C., Norah O'Donnell came from a household steeped in military discipline. The father of her, Francis Lawrence O'Donnell, was a U.S. officer in the Army. A setting where she was raised with a strong sense of discipline and seriousness. Her journalistic approach, which is decisive, straightforward, and unyielding in her search of truth, was impacted by this foundation in addition to shaping her personality. The O'Donnells are descended from Irish immigrants. Her grandfather spent 16 years living in the United States illegally. Family tale that Norah would subsequently learn more about when she pursued a career in journalism. Unaware that these carefree childhood days would have long-lasting effects, Norah's family moved to San Antonio, Texas, when she was 3 years old. There, she spent hours in the blazing sun, played sports, and ran during the summer. Would turn out to be the cost of her early years spent in the scorching Texas sun. Her father was assigned to Yongsan Garrison, a U.S. military installation in Seoul, South Korea, when she was 10 years old. She had never encountered a totally new culture before. Norah, however, took advantage of the chance and entered the broadcasting industry rather than feeling uncomfortable. She worked for the Korean Educational Development Institute as a young elementary school teacher, delivering recorded video courses in English. She was already at ease in front of a camera at the age of 10, which unintentionally prepared her for her future employment in television. Norah's family moved back to San Antonio after 2 years in Seoul, and she went to Douglas MacArthur High School there. She demonstrated the traits of a journalist even back then, writing and debating with passion, and persistently looking for the truth. Following her high school graduation in 1991, Norah attended Georgetown University to further her education, finishing with a degree in philosophy. Her critical thinking abilities were honed by this subject of study, which also gave her journalistic approach a solid basis. Systematic reasoning, logical analysis, and a steadfast dedication to answering difficult problems. Following her graduation from Georgetown University, Norah O'Donnell entered the journalism field as an editor at Roll Call, where she focused on U.S. coverage. Congress. She did more than simply relay the news, though. Her keen analytical abilities helped audiences better grasp important policies and judgments by unraveling the complexity of political scheming. A fresh and exciting phase in her career began when NBC News took notice of her perceptive journalistic style. Norah began an incredible 12-year career with one of the biggest media networks in the United States when she joined NBC News. She assumed a number of prominent positions, such as chief Washington correspondent for MSNBC, White House correspondent for NBC News, and political. She soon established herself as one of the network's most identifiable figures, regularly making appearances on major shows like MSNBC Live, Dateline NBC, The Today Show, and NBC Nightly News. Her reputation as one of America's most significant female journalists was solidified by her powerful on-air persona. Norah's reporting was not the end of it. She tried her hand at news anchoring as well. She was chosen to take Chris Matthews' place as host of the well-known political program Hardball with Chris Matthews, and she frequently appeared on the Chris Matthews Show as a political analyst. Norah established a strong name in political journalism with her straightforward style and incisive delivery. She left NBC in 2011 to become the lead White House correspondent for CBS News. Her career was growing quickly, and it was evident that CBS had big hopes for her when, on October 10, 2011, she was chosen to take Scott Pelley's place as anchor of CBS Evening News, just a year later. Norah achieved yet another professional high in the fall of 2012 when she and Gayle King were selected to co-anchor CBS This Morning in lieu of Erica Hill. Together, the two formidable journalists formed a formidable team on CBS television. With its incisive interviews and in-depth examination of America's most important issues, This Morning swiftly rose to prominence as one of the most respected morning news programs. Norah O'Donnell's path is not solely about advancing her career, it also includes becoming one of the most well-known personalities in broadcast journalism after working behind the scenes at Roll Call. It demonstrates the brilliance and tenacity of a woman navigating a traditionally male-dominated field. Norah O'Donnell is unavoidable when it comes to tough political interviews, groundbreaking investigative stories, and historic broadcasts, even if you don't watch CBS Evening News every night. Norah does more than just read the news. She is one of the few female anchors of a national evening news program in the United States. She is included in the narrative, asking important questions of the most influential people in the world. Norah became the center of attention as soon as CBS hired her to anchor CBS Evening News in 2019. The renowned CBS figures Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, and Scott Pelley were joined by one of the few female journalists to occupy this esteemed role. Norah, however, was not merely doing what they had done. She was changing the way evening news presented itself to the public by being incisive, thorough, and fearless when posing difficult queries. Under Norah's direction, CBS Evening News became as the preferred venue for some of America's most significant interviews. Her exclusive conversation with Pope Francis in 2024, one of the few times the head of the Vatican agreed to speak with an American journalist during prime time, was one of her most noteworthy experiences. With millions of viewers, the show cemented Norah's status as one of the most powerful journalists in the field. In addition to the Pope, she conducted an interview with President Joe Biden soon after he assumed office, questioning him directly about his administration's controversies, economic plans, and foreign policy. One was among her most startling inquiries on leadership skills and age. In November, you will turn 77 years old. How old is that to be president? Second, the decision of a vice president is made considerably more important by your age, as demonstrated by his pick of Kamala Harris. Why do you think Senator Harris is ready to assume charge of the country if needed? 3. Regarding Supreme Court reform, are you in favor of increasing the court's justice count? These inquiries perfectly capture Norah O'Donnell's trademark interview style, which is straightforward, incisive, and concentrated on urgent matters like judicial reform, senior officials' preparedness, and leadership health. Because of her bravery and directness, Norah has become one of the most influential voices in American television journalism. Then expertly provide unparalleled interviews and stories, influencing news cycles and encapsulating the cultural zeitgeist, said Wendy McMahon, president of CBS News. It wasn't merely a studio where Norah was sitting. From the frontline hospitals during the COVID-19 pandemic to the Ukraine border when war broke out, she was on the ground. She rose to prominence as one of America's most reliable news sources during the pandemic. Dr. Anthony Fauci was interviewed directly by her, posing challenging queries regarding the government's response, healthcare policies, and the medical supply shortfall. The administration was forced to modernize its supply chain as a result of the tremendous public pressure generated by her investigative report on delays in the distribution of personal protective equipment, or PPE. As rivals like David Muir of ABC World News Tonight and Lester Holt of NBC Nightly News swiftly arrived in the combat zone, Norah came under fire for failing to report from the field as soon as the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Her in-depth humanitarian reports, however, restored viewers' faith when she made an appearance at the Poland-Ukraine border, providing a compelling and unvarnished depiction of loss and the refugee situation. Throughout her more than 20-year career, Norah O'Donnell has had a significant impact in addition to anchoring the news. She has won numerous important Emmy Awards, including the U.S. Emmy for Outstanding Investigative Report on Sexual Assault. Academy of the Air Force. An investigative series about sexual assault in the U.S. military was led by Norah O'Donnell. She spoke with the family of Private Nicole Burnham, who had experienced sexual assault while serving in South Korea, in the first segment of the series. She had brought attention to an important Army Times article that found that 1 in 5 military personnel had experienced sexual harassment, but that hardly anyone ever reported it. The U.S. government was compelled to enact policy changes as a result of her exposé, enhancing victim protections and assistance while broadening inquiries into military harassment. Norah's accomplishment was more than just a personal one, but an important step in bringing attention to the rights of women in the military. The industry as a whole, in addition to CBS, acknowledged her efforts. Although her popularity was sufficient to earn her a spot on Time's 100 Most Influential Women list, Norah's effect extended beyond television. CBS Evening News maintained its third-place ratings under Norah's direction, lagging behind NBC Nightly News and ABC's World News Tonight. With an average viewership of 4.688 million in 2024, the show fell short of ABC's 7.780 million and NBC's 6.448 million. This brought up a crucial query. When ratings fall short of expectations, can a journalist still hold on to power? The truth is that CBS was already struggling to cling on to third place in an industry that was quickly moving toward digital platforms, and the network had been losing viewers even before Norah took over. Nevertheless, it is indisputable that Norah's excellent interviews and unafraid investigative reporting were important in maintaining a devoted readership. As CBS Mornings noted, it was sharp and incredibly sympathetic. Will Norah's tenacity and power, however, be sufficient to maintain her standing in the field as television journalism enters a new era? The whole media ecosystem, not just CBS, is keeping a careful eye on that subject. Are you a devoted CBS viewer? How do you feel about her fashion sense? Leave a comment with your ideas. Jeff Tracy and Norah O'Donnell's romance started in a cafeteria queue in 1991 at Georgetown University. Jeff, who was from New England, fell in love with Norah right away when she was a freshman. What began as a simple talk between them evolved into the beginnings of something exceptional over a sweater with a boarding school's name on it. Looking back, it's hard to believe that Jeff met the person he would spend the rest of his life with in the very first week of college. Norah and Jeff were inseparable during their time at Georgetown. They shared dreams about their futures, drank coffee at Weissmiller's, and studied together on the top floor of the Lohanger Library for many an evening. While Jeff chose a different route and entered the culinary industry after graduating at the top of his class from the Culinary Institute of America, Norah went on to seek a career in journalism. After over 10 years of dating, they were married in 2001 in Dahlgren Chapel, where they had many special college experiences. In addition to being a momentous occasion, Norah saw her wedding at Georgetown as evidence of a love story that had lasted over 10 years, from their time as students to the beginning of their individual professions. Family always comes first for Norah and Jeff, even with their busy occupations. Riley, their youngest daughter, was born in 2008, and Henry and Grace, their twins, were born in 2007. Despite being a top CBS anchor, Norah has said that she is still a busy mother when she gets home, helping with homework, cooking meals for the family, and embracing the daily bustle of parenthood. In addition to being a mother and a journalist, Norah has a strong love for cooking. She co-wrote Baby Love Healthy Delicious Meals for Your Baby and Toddler with her husband, a successful chef and the proprietor of the Chef Jeff's Deluxe Hospitality Restaurant franchise. Inspired by their own experience raising 3 children, the 2010 book sought to assist parents in preparing wholesome meals for their kids. Since I was aware that homemade meals were always the healthiest and most nourishing, I never purchased a single jar of baby food. Jeff and Norah have always been each other's biggest supports, despite the fact that they are in rather different sectors. Jeff was Norah's pillar of support during some of the most trying times in her career, from covering the COVID-19 outbreak to looking into military sexual abuse. Jeff said, "Every once in a while I get something right, 22 years and still going strong," in a touching Instagram post on their 22nd wedding anniversary. Jeff and Norah enjoy a solid and long-lasting marriage in spite of their busy life and the tremendous demands of their jobs. Washington, D.C., was their choice as home, primarily because of their strong ties to Georgetown University and the priceless memories they created there. "Georgetown isn't just where we studied, it's the place that bonded us forever," Jeff once remarked. Their journey is a testament to striking a balance between work and family, in addition to being a love story between a powerful pair in the culinary arts and media. True love can persist and flourish over time, as demonstrated by Norah and Jeff's unwavering partnership despite the upheaval of the journalism industry and the intense competitiveness of the restaurant sector. Norah O'Donnell, who is a strong and brave woman, never thought she would have cancer. Because of the demanding schedule of one of the most influential broadcasters in America, she was always occupied with breaking news, important interviews, and high-stakes reporting. However, everything changed on Thanksgiving Day of 2016 when her doctor sent her an urgent email. "Give us a call back right now." She felt uneasy because of the icy, menacing subject line in her email. She got the heartbreaking news when she answered the phone. On her back, she had malignant melanoma, the most deadly type of skin cancer that spreads quickly if treatment is not received. Although Norah had always taken good care of her skin, it had been 2 years since her previous examination. She made an appointment with dermatologist Elizabeth Hale after recognizing this gap. The doctor conducted a biopsy after noticing 2 worrisome spots on her back during the checkup. The outcomes were dismal. Melanoma was among them. Norah and her family were shocked by the diagnosis. Unaware of the intricacies of the illness, her 9-year-old son posed a perplexing query to her. "Do you have any possibility of dying?" She realized then how serious her disease really was. She was reassured by the doctors that the cancer was 100% treatable with prompt treatment because it had been detected early. Norah had surgery in January 2017 to remove the tumor, which involved a deep excision, 3 layers of stitches, and 20 sutures in total. She was formally declared safe when follow-up tests revealed that the cancer had not spread. But it wasn't just a physical fight. It was quite sentimental. She became distressed after being unable to work out for 6 weeks. She began studying melanoma and discovered that her pale skin, teenage tanning habits, and years of sun exposure had put her in one of the highest risk groups. Following this transformative event, Norah became an outspoken supporter of skin cancer awareness. She publicly shares her experience to raise awareness of the risks of melanoma and actively promotes routine skin screenings. She emphasizes that although the number of skin cancer cases is increasing quickly, early identification can avoid the majority of instances. She now has examinations every 4 months, and 2 additional spots were found during a recent scan. Fortunately, they were harmless this time. Norah conveys a strong message as well. Don't put off visiting a doctor until you're feeling ill. Even if you feel well, get checked out. She was concerned that a lot of individuals skipped regular checkups during the COVID-19 pandemic, which raised the possibility of receiving a late diagnosis for life-threatening conditions like cancer. Many others have been impressed by her narrative, and some cancer sufferers have even given credit to her warnings for enabling them to identify their disease early. Although it is the most lethal kind of skin cancer, melanoma is not the most prevalent. Even though it only makes up 1% of all occurrences of skin cancer, it has the greatest death rate, particularly if it is not discovered early. Any organ in the body can get affected by melanoma, and excessive UV exposure is thought to be the cause of 86% of occurrences, especially in people who have used tanning beds or had sunburns as children. According to statistics, tanning beds raise the risk of melanoma by 75%, which is a startling and concerning statistic. The fight against cancer was more than simply a personal struggle for Norah. It turned into a mission. She keeps using her platform to educate the public and help them realize that routine skin screenings are a simple habit that can save lives. Cancer has permanently changed Norah O'Donnell after everything she has been through. She used to be a strong news anchor, but now she is fighting not just against breaking news but also against an illness that could have killed her. When was the last time you had a checkup? Do you routinely check for early warning signals on your skin? Leave a comment with your ideas. Your life or the life of a loved one may be saved by early detection. Before it's too late, take action. News anchor Norah O'Donnell is more than that. As a journalist, she has the courage to challenge, confront, and alter reality. She has emerged as a symbol of tenacity and integrity in a field where males have always held the reins of power, altering the function of broadcast journalism. Norah stayed focused when the Me Too movement exploded. Even at the danger of her own career, she stood up to Charlie Rose and denounced the titans of CBS, Les Moonves. The way the media industry responded to harassment issues was changed by her unyielding approach. Norah didn't merely report on change, she spearheaded it, bringing media closer to its responsibility to protect victims rather than shield offenders. She has continuously revealed the truth, holding those in positions of authority responsible, from daring interviews with U.S. presidents to shocking investigations like the Air Force Academy sexual assault scandal. Because of her revelations, the U.S. military changed its policies, giving abuse victims more protection. Norah established a standard as one of the few female hosts of a national nightly news program. However, she refused to leave even after being replaced by 2 male coworkers, demonstrating that true authority lies in the voice rather than the chair. Her fight against cancer was more than just a personal one. For millions, it became a wake-up call. Her narrative helped save lives by increasing the number of skin cancer screenings. Throughout her professional and personal life, Norah O'Donnell has made a significant impression. One of the most influential faces of CBS Evening News in the past was Norah O'Donnell. However, did you know that her career at CBS underwent a significant turning point as a result of internal strife, financial strains, and criticism of her managerial style? When CBS parent company, Paramount Global, announced its merger with Skydance Media on July 7, 2024, a massive reorganization ensued, resulting in the departure of several senior officials, including Ingrid Cyprian-Matthews, president of CBS News. During this time, the network underwent a makeover, which included the dismissal of Norah O'Donnell from her position as top anchor. In addition to pressure from management, Norah endured harsh internal scrutiny during her time at CBS Evening News. She was rumored to have rigorous schedule and dress requirements, often making last-minute adjustments that caused stress for the production crew. She was accused of having a first-class attitude by several employees, who also claimed that she demanded a luxury wardrobe allowance of up to $65,000 annually and that Gucci shoes be put outside her dressing room. Another area of controversy was her daily rehearsal sessions, which were deemed quite rare for an anchor with her level of experience. According to some producers, she over-controlled the content during these sessions, altering the script right before airtime and causing conflict among coworkers. According to an insider, she used the rehearsals as a pretext to trim reports at the last minute. Unquestionably, though, Norah is a highly influential journalist who is renowned for her incisive, assertive approach and readiness to pose difficult questions. But she was also a polarizing figure because of that very quality. Critics contend that her autocratic management style ultimately caused her collapse, while supporters contend that she was unfairly handled as a woman in a male-dominated field. Norah O'Donnell's $8 million yearly pay became a strain during CBS's financial difficulties. Maintaining a costly anchor grew more and more unfeasible as CBS Evening News's viewership dropped to about 4 million, much lower than that of ABC's World News Tonight, 6.8 million, and NBC's Nightly News, 5.5 million. Furthermore, Norah was the only evening news host to delay going to Eastern Europe in the early phases of the Russia-Ukraine war, causing a precipitous decline in ratings. After covering the U.S. presidential election, CBS finally made the announcement in January 2025 that Norah O'Donnell would be leaving CBS Evening News. Two male anchors, John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois, took her place after the decision was perceived as a component of the network's larger restructuring strategy. Former CBS Evening News anchor Katie Couric criticized the decision to replace a prominent female anchor with two men as a setback for gender diversity in the media sector, sparking controversy right away. But internal pressure wasn't the only factor in Norah's decision to leave CBS Evening News. Her understanding of work-life balance and wellness also had a role in her personal choice. She realized more than ever after overcoming skin cancer that her family and health were first. Her melanoma tumor removal procedure was a wake-up call that made her reassess her goals. She realized it was time for a change after more than 10 years of constant news cycles, tough schedules, and fierce competition. "I've been an anchor at CBS News for 12 years, Norah wrote in an email to her coworkers. It's time to take a break from the constant barrage of breaking news and daily broadcasts. Norah decided to remain with the network, but in a different role, in contrast to Katie Couric, who switched from CBS to ABC. She switched her attention to in-depth investigative reporting and exclusive interviews for CBS Evening News and 60 Minutes, rather than making appearances on nightly shows. This was regarded as a calculated action, enabling her to take advantage of her investigative journalism skills free from the demands of the daily news. She currently divides her time between D.C. and Washington and New York, where she would continue to work for CBS while spending more time with her family. She has finally achieved a balance between her personal and professional lives after years of hectic schedules, and she now enjoys the small things in life with her husband, Chef Jeff Tracy, and their 3 kids. Even though she no longer appears on television every night, Norah O'Donnell is still one of the country's most important journalists. Her exit from CBS Evening News is characterized by colleagues as a metamorphosis rather than a retreat, bringing with her both chances and challenges. Norah O'Donnell is a journalist who never goes missing. She only adopts a new, more powerful, more liberated approach to seeking the truth. How do you feel about the departure of Norah O'Donnell? Was this a necessary consequence in the brutal world of broadcast journalism, or was it a sacrifice for one's health and personal life? Anchoring is not all that Norah O'Donnell does. She fights for the truth. She has broken down barriers in journalism, challenged authority, revealed scandals, and changed the way the public views the news. Despite leaving CBS Evening News, she hasn't abandoned the battle. Norah has demonstrated that resilience cannot be suppressed in a variety of contexts, including politics, investigative reporting, cancer treatment, and managing psychological turmoil. Her adventure goes on, and the stories that lie ahead should be equally revolutionary. How do you feel about the legacy of Norah O'Donnell? To learn more about the people who have revolutionized the media sector, leave your thoughts in the comments section and remember to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the upcoming video.